Chapter 22. Now Sigurd rides away. Many-folded is his shield, and blazing with red gold, and the image of a dragon is drawn thereon, and this same was dark brown above, and bright red below. And with even such like image was adorned helm, and saddle, and coat armour. And he was clad in the golden byrnie, and all his weapons were gold wrought. Now for this cause was the drake drawn on all his weapons, that when he was seen of men, all folk might know who went there. Yea, all those who had heard of his slayings of that great dragon that the Vairings call Fafnir. And for that cause are his weapons gold wrought and brown of hue, and that he was by far above other men in courtesy and goodly manners, and well nigh in all things else. And whenas folk tell of all the mightiest champions and the noblest chiefs, then ever is he named the foremost. And his name goes wide about on all tongues north of the sea of the Greek lands, and even so shall it be while the world endures. Now the hair of this Sigurd was golden red of hue, fair of fashion, and falling down in great locks. Thick and short was his beard, and of no other colour. High-nosed he was, broad and high-boned of face. So keen were his eyes that few durst gaze up under the brows of him. His shoulders were as broad to look on as the shoulders of two. Most duly was his body fashioned betwixt height and breadth, and in such wise as was seemliest. And this is the sign told of his height, that when he was girt with his sword Gram, which same was 7 spans long, as he went through the full-grown rye fields, the dew-shoe of the said sword smote the ears of the standing corn. And for all that, greater was his strength than his growth. Well could he wield sword, and cast forth spear, shoot shaft, and hold shield, bend bow, back horse, and do all the goodly deeds that he learned in his youth's days. Wise he was to know things yet undone, and the voice of all fowls he knew, wherefore few things fell on him unawares. Of many words he was, and so fair of speech withal, that whensoever he made it his business to speak, he never left speaking, before that to all men it seemed full sure that no otherwise must the matter be than as he said. His sport and pleasure it was to give aid to his own folk, and to prove himself in mighty matters, to take wealth from his unfriends, and give the same to his friends. Never did he lose heart, and of naught was he adrad. Chapter 23. Forth Sigurd rides, till he comes to a great and goodly dwelling, the lord whereof was a mighty chief called Eirikr. He had to wife a sister of Brynhild, who was hight Beckhild, because she had bidden at home, and learned handicraft, whereas Brynhild fared with helm and byrnie unto the wars, wherefore was she called Brynhild. Eirikr and Beckhild had a son called Alsvíðr, the most courteous of men. Now at this stead were men disporting them abroad. But when they see the man riding thereto, they leave their play to wonder at him, for none such had they ever seen erst. So they went to meet him, and gave him good welcome. Alsvíðr bade him abide and have such things at his hands as he would, and he takes his bidding blithesomely. Due service withal was established for him. 4 men bore the treasure of gold from off the horse, and the 5th took it to him to guard the same. Therein were many things to behold, things of great price and seldom seen, and great game and joy men had to look on byrnies and helms, and mighty rings, and wondrous great golden stoops, and all kinds of war weapons. So there dwelt Sigurd, long in great honour holden, and tidings of that deed of fame spread wide through all lands, of how he had slain that hideous and fearful dragon. So good joyaunce they had there together, and each was leal to other, and their sport was in the arraying of their weapons, and the shafting of their arrows, and the flying of their falcons. Chapter 24. In those days came home to Hamir Brunhild, his foster daughter. And she sat in her bower with her maidens, and could more skill in handicraft than other women. She sat, overlaying cloth with gold, and sewing therein the great deeds which Sigurd had wrought, the slaying of the worm, and the taking of the wealth of him, and the death of Regin withal. Now tells the tale that on a day Sigurd rode into the wood with hawk and hound and men thronging. And whenas he came home, his hawk flew up to a high tower and sat him down on a certain window. Then fared Sigurd after his hawk, and he saw where sat a fair woman, and knew that it was Brunhild. And he deems all things he sees there to be worthy together, both her fairness and the fair things she wrought. And therewith he goes into the hall, but has no more joyance in the games of the menfolk. Then spake Alsvidr, Why art thou so bare of bliss? This manner of thine grieveth us thy friends. Why then wilt thou not hold to thy gleesome ways? Lo, thy hawks pine now, and thy horse Grani droops, and long will it be ere we are booted thereof? Sigurd answered, Good friend, hearken to what lies on my mind. For my hawk flew up into a certain tower, and when I came thereto and took him, lo, there I saw a fair woman, and she sat by a needlework of gold, and did thereon my deeds that are past, and my deeds that are to come. Then said Alsvidr, Thou hast seen Brunhild, Budli's daughter, the greatest of great women. Yea, verily, said Sigurd, but how came she hither? Alsvidr answered, Short space there was betwixt the coming hither of the twain of you. Says Sigurd, Yea, but a few days agone I knew her for the best of the world's women. Alsvidr said, Give not all thine heed to one woman, being such a man as thou art. Ill life, to sit lamenting for what we may not have. I shall go meet her, says Sigurd, and get from her love like my love, and give her a gold ring in token thereof. Alsvidr answered, None has ever yet been known whom she would let sit beside her, or to whom she would give drink, for ever will she hold to warfare and to the winning of all kinds of fame. Sigurd said, We know not for sure whether she will give us answer or not, or grant us a seat beside her. So the next day after, Sigurd went to the bower, but Alsvidr stood outside the bower door, fitting shafts to his arrows. Now Sigurd spake, Abide, fair and hale lady, how farest thou? She answered, Well it fares, my kin and my friends live yet, but who shall say what good hap folk may bear to their life's end? He sat him down by her. And there came in 4 damsels with great golden beakers and the best of wine therein, and these stood before the twain. Then said Brunhild, This seat is for few, but and if my father come. He answered, Yet it is granted to one that likes me well. Now that chamber was hung with the best and fairest of hanging, and the floor thereof was all covered with cloth. Sigurd spake, Now has it come to pass, even as thou didst promise. O, be thou welcome here, said she, and arose therewith, and the 4 damsels with her, and bore the golden beaker to him, and bade him drink. He stretched out his hand to the beaker, and took it, and her hand withal, and drew her down beside him, and cast his arms round about her neck, and kissed her, and said, Thou art the fairest that was ever born. But Brunhild said, Ah, wiser is it not to cast faith and troth into a woman's power, for ever shall they break that they have promised. He said, That day would dawn the best of days over our heads, whereon each of each should be made happy. Brunhild answered, It is not fated that we should abide together. I am a shield may, and wear helm on head, even as the kings of war, and them full oft I help. Neither is the battle become loathsome to me. Sigurd answered, What fruit shall be of our life if we live not together? Harder to bear this pain that lies hereunder than the stroke of sharp sword. Brunhild answers, I shall gaze on the hosts of the war-kings, but thou shalt wed Gudrun, the daughter of Giuki. Sigurd answers, What king's daughter lives to beguile me? Neither am I double-hearted herein, and now I swear, by the gods, that thee shall I have for mine own, or no woman else. And even such likewise spake she. Sigurd thanked her for her speech, and gave her a gold ring. And now they swore oath anew, and so he went his ways to his men, and is with them a while in great bliss. End of section 6.